Now, do I hate it? Do I hate it? And then we're going to do a frog test. Well, we already did a frog test. I'm losing my mind. Hello and welcome to the Faded Wildflower Crochet. My name is Rachel. And lately you guys seem to enjoy the videos where I test out a few different yarns all from the same company. So that is what we are going to be doing today with the brand Herrschners. It's really hard to hold all of these up at the same time and the label's coming off of this one. But this is the first time that I have ever ordered from Herrschners. And they are a website where you can order different craft supplies and they carry other brands of yarn as well as their own line of yarn, kind of similar to Michael's and Joanne. Rest in peace, Joanne. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at these yarns. Before we find out whether or not I love these yarns, I have to talk about something that you guys already know that I love, which is the sponsor of today's video, Craftsy. If you don't already know, Craftsy is your online resource for all things creative. They offer on-demand classes taught by experts in things like drawing, baking, sewing, crochet, and knitting. Last time I talked about Craftsy, I mentioned that I couldn't wait to try some of their knitting classes, and I have been doing just that. I've been taking the class Learn to Knit My First Scarf by Caddy Melville Ledbetter, and not only is it helping me make a scarf, she also has so many amazing tips that are helping me along my knitting journey. Something else that's really cool is that in addition to their on-demand classes, they also offer live streaming classes where you can get feedback from experts in real time. Craftsy makes it so easy for you to create something one of a kind with your own two hands. And they are regularly adding new classes to keep you inspired on whatever crafty journey you're currently on. I have an amazing deal for you guys. The first 1,000 people to click on my link in the description will get 1 full year of Craftsy Premium for only $1.49. So be sure to take advantage of that and let me know what classes you end up taking. And thank you so much to Craftsy for sponsoring today's video. Okay, here is the first yarn we are going to be looking at today, which is Cheerful Fleece. This is the color Lime. It is a size 5 bulky, and this is 262 yards. And I did forget to say in the beginning that this is kind of sort of an episode of Will It On Me, which is a series on my channel where we test out different types of yarn to see if they work for amigurumi. I can't believe I forgot to say that part at the beginning. But we are going to be making amigurumi with these. But we are also going to be testing these in rows as well. We will get to all of that. Speaking of amigurumi, this yarn is called My Ami. It is in the color Clover. This is a size 3, and it is a blend of acrylic and cotton. I just had to try a yarn from their Wildflowers line, of course, because, you know, the Faded Wildflower, we have to try things with the name Wildflower in them. And so this is the same yarn as the regular worsted yarn. It just comes in a different sort of variegation. They're all different kinds based on different flowers. So this one is called Foxtail. And this is a size 4, 100% acrylic. And this is quite a few yards, I can tell. What does it say? 489 yards. Yeah, that is a lot. Okay, so this is the one where the label is coming off already, but this is Simply Velvet. It says it is 100% micro polyester. I don't know what the micro part means, but you know, there you go. It is a size 4. There is, let's see, 185 yards, and this one is called Grassy Fields. So we are going to go ahead and get started. The pattern that we're going to be working from, it's a frog, which if you couldn't tell by all of the green, but this pattern is by Smallberry Studios on Instagram. I will have it linked down below. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. This one's in my hand, so we're just going to go ahead and get started with her. So here he is done. And unfortunately, I really hate to say it, but I do not like this yarn. Now, do I hate it? Do I hate it? I don't know. I strongly dislike it. Let's just say that. It is just not easy to work with. It has this certain stiffness to it that makes it really hard to get your tension right. So I did start off with a 3.5 hook, and I was noticing gapping in my work because, like I said, it was just a real pain to get my stitches to be as tight as I like them to be. And so I did switch down to this 3.25, and that did help. As you can probably see, the stitches look all right, although there's still some shedding on there, which we will get to. I feel like there is just this feeling to it, though, even in the finished product, that it feels soft, but then it also has almost a plasticky feeling to it. That's the best way I can describe it. And I mean, I know it's micro polyester, so I guess it technically is plastic, but it's the strangest feeling. I've tried a lot of different velvet yarns in my time, and most of the time they glide quite nicely on the hook. Yes, they have problems with shedding, which again, this one does have problems with shedding, but they will at least glide nicely on the hook, but this one does not. It has, just like I said, that weird stiffness to it, that kind of drag to it. I do not like working with this at all. Now, in terms of shedding and falling apart, it does do both of those things. There is quite a bit of shedding here on my desk. And I showed in the clips of me sewing it that there was one piece that completely was just falling apart, making it almost impossible to sew with. But it doesn't fall apart as badly as I expected. Now you can see as I'm manipulating this that it is starting to, but it does take a little bit more friction than I expected. Some velvet yarns and chenille yarns just like instantly fall apart. This one does take a little bit more tugging to fall apart, but it does fall apart. Overall, I'm just really disappointed in this yarn. It was pretty inexpensive if I remember right. I think like $3 or something like that. But would I repurchase it again? Probably not. Although let's go ahead and do a test in rows. What size does this say to use? Okay, so the sizing on here is not in millimeters. It says to use a size 7 2I. So we're going to use this, which is a size 7, right? Yes, 4.5/7. So we are going to do a few rows in this just to see, and then we're going to do a frog test. Well, we already did a frog test, but you know what I mean, like a frog taking apart kind of frog test. I'm losing my mind. Okay, I'm going to work a few rows in this and we'll reconvene. I doubt that this is going to change my mind about this yarn, but we'll see. Okay, here is my tiny little swatch here. And oh my goodness, it is about 100 times easier to do loose stitches with this yarn than it is to try to do tight stitches. I will say that. Now, the texture again does feel nicer, but there is just that underlying, I don't know if anyone else knows what I'm talking about, but there is just that stiffness feeling to it that I just don't love. It is not nearly as soft as any other velvet yarn that I've ever tried, unfortunately. But it does look quite good. And like I said, is much, much easier to work in this way. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with the rest of this skein. I need some ideas for things that I can make that are in rows and not in rounds, things that are not amigurumi where I'm having to pull the stitches tight. I feel like this is a really nice color for Christmas time. And I feel like all of the colors, and there weren't very many. I think there was only like 4 or 5 different colors in this, and they all seemed a bit more like they're meant for the holidays. So maybe I will save it and I'll have some ideas by the time Christmas time rolls around again. But like I said, is it the worst yarn in the whole wide world? No, but is it probably my least favorite velvet yarn I've ever worked with? Yes, unfortunately. I hate to say that. Okay, it's been a little bit while later and I realized I didn't do a frog test, but Editing Rachel is going to put this in the correct spot so you won't even notice, but I said this, so now you will notice. Whatever, we're going to frog this. I promised a frog test. We're going to do it. And it's probably actually better that I let this sit for a little while because sometimes when you frog something immediately, it's not a true test of how well it frogs. Okay, so yeah, can you tell how hard it is to get these out? Oh gosh, it's breaking. Yeah, right there. Can you see that it's like starting to break? Oh gosh. Okay, I'm doing my best here, but it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to frog. Is it completely falling apart? No. But there are some sections where, like, I don't know that I would reuse that. Can you see that that is starting to separate? So, does this frog well? No. This frogs okay. Does it frog well? No. Well, that was not a very good start to this video. We are going to move on to this one right here, which is the worsted weight one. I am going to go take a quick little break, go have some lunch, and I will meet you on the couch to work on our little variegated frog. I hope it turns out cute. These colors are so pretty. Okay, guys, are you ready to see him? My funky little frog. He is so cute. Are you kidding me? How cool is this variegation? I love it. As much as I disliked the first yarn is how much I like this yarn, which I am so happy to say. So where to start? Well, let's start at the start. Because as I showed in the clips, this came with a handy dandy little pull tab so that you can pull from the middle. Now, I don't always pull skeins like this from the middle because sometimes you're going to get yarn barf. Sometimes it's going to just end up a mess. And so a lot of times I just don't even bother with it. But the fact that this came already with an easy start was so nice. I loved that. This yarn was so easy to work with. No splitting, no snagging, nothing like that. In terms of texture, I would say it's the most similar to like a Big Twist Value. It's similar to the Premier, the one you can get at the Dollar Tree, whatever that one's called. Very similar to those yarns, and I quite like those yarns. Now, the variegation of this skein switches very quickly, as you can see. There's not much of each color in a row before it changes again. And so you can see that there was some pooling kind of happening, but because of the way this pattern worked up, the pooling didn't happen straight up and down. It happened in these cool, like wavy lines. I'm assuming since this is called Wildflower, they're going for more of a floral type look, which is not really what ended up happening here, but I'm assuming that there are some things that you could do with this yarn to do some planned pooling and it would look really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and work this up in a quick swatch in rows, probably just some half double crochets. It says to use an I, which I can't remember what that is in millimeters, but I will go grab that and do a few rows in this and then we'll talk my final thoughts on this yarn, but so far so good. Okay, here is what my little swatch looks like. I know it's not much, but definitely when it's worked in rows like this, it does give more of that floral vibe that I think that they were going for. I really like it. I think it looks so cool. There are so many possibilities for this yarn. I have so many things that I already am thinking I want to make with this. Love it. Now, I will say texture-wise, it is a little bit scratchier than the Premier yarn. I'm comparing it to that yarn a lot just because I recently used that to make a sweater, which if you didn't see that video, you can go watch that one. But it's just one of those yarns. I would say that if you're going to use it for garments, it's probably the kind of yarn you're going to want to steam. You're going to want to wash it. And then after that, it's probably going to be softer. But it's not nearly as stiff or scratchy as something like Red Heart Super Saver. It's not even as scratchy as that Michael's yarn that I tried, whatever that one was called. not as scratchy as that either. I don't mind the texture. It's not offensive. It's just not super, super soft. If you're expecting it to be really, really, really soft, it's not that. Now this yarn, I believe was $5 or around $5. I will throw it up on the screen. Herrschners does seem like Herrschners. That's hard for me to say, by the way. And I hope I'm saying it right because I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it out loud. Herrschners, right? Anyways, I think that Herrschners is the type of place where there are coupons, there are sales, there's things like that are running all the time. But I do believe I paid like a little less than $5 for this. Now, this particular line, the Wildflowers line, has I think 12 different colors. But the main line of this, just the regular worsted, has like 80 different color options. It has a ton of different color options. Some variegated, some plain. Will I repurchase this? I could definitely see myself repurchasing this, especially if I am wanting to find something to compare to Big Twist value, which I can no longer get, especially I can no longer go get that in town. I've heard some people say, like I've heard some rumblings that there might be a way you can still order it online. But even so, if I can reliably find this one and it has that many different color options, I wouldn't hesitate to order this again. So far today we had one I did not like and one that I liked quite a bit. I'm going to leave you here for the day. I'm going to go take a little break, let my hands rest, and I'll be back tomorrow with the fleece one and what is the other one called? My Ami. So I will meet you then. Hello, you guys. It is the next day, and last night I finished this cutie. Oh my goodness, he's got fuzz on him, but that's okay. He's perfect. I love him. And guys, I love this yarn. Now, I think I said yesterday, this is burnout blanket. It feels like burnout blanket. And even when I was looking at it online, I was like, oh, it's just a burnout blanket, dude. And I know I always talk about burnout blanket when it comes to blanket yarn. I do feel like it's probably the most popular blanket yarn. But this is not burnout blanket. It is its own thing. And guys, I might actually like it a little bit better, which I know that might be blasphemy, but I really enjoy this yarn. So first of all, burnout blanket is a size 6 and this is a size 5. So it is a bit thinner. Now, that can be a good or a bad thing depending on what you're looking for, but this is a bit more thin. And the way that this yarn is structured, let me see if I can find the middle without having some yarn barf here. There we go. This is structured a little bit differently, as you can see, if it'll focus. It is just a little bit more flat, whereas burnout blanket is more rounded. And, you know, it depends on your preference whether one is easier to work with than another. But for me, this is much easier to work with. It does not have that stiffness that burnout blanket has. If you know that sometimes working with burnout blanket can be really rough on your wrist just because it is so thick and it is so stiff. This is not stiff at all, which is really surprising to me after using that velvet yarn yesterday. And that feeling so stiff, this one is not. It is so soft. The end result is so soft and cozy. Also, this color is perfection. It is the perfect color for a frog. Look how cute that is. I really, really enjoy it. Didn't have much problems with it shedding, just a little bit on those cut ends, kind of, again, the same way the burnout blanket is, but it didn't fall apart for me when I was sewing, nothing like that. Now, I am going to go ahead and crochet some rows in this and then do a frog test, although I don't expect that it's going to be hard to frog or fall apart when I frog, but we'll see. Okay, here is my finished swatch. I did some double crochets here, single crochets here, and some half double crochets here just to do some experimentation. I did use a size, what is this, 8mm. The packaging says to use a 9, but I don't have a 9, so I'm just using this one. But I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like half doubles and double crochets look as good in like blanket yarns and chenille yarns. I don't know. Maybe I'm just picky because I feel like it looks better. Well, see, like that. I think, is that the wrong side? It looks a little funky. But I do think the single crochets look really nice. And again, extremely easy to work with, extremely soft. I really like this. Let's go ahead and do a quick little frog here and see if it affects the yarn at all. It's kind of hard to tell if it's affecting the yarn. It's definitely not falling apart or shedding, so that's good. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and frog the rest of this, but it doesn't seem to affect the yarn at all when you frog it, so that's really great. This does cost $9.99, which is the most expensive of the 4 that I bought. It is 262 yards though, which is quite a bit of yardage. This comes in 14 different colors. And like I said, I love this color and it looks like it comes in a lot of other nice colors as well. And I'm pretty sure I saw some variegated colors as well. So there are in fact some variegated shades as well. I'm looking here and this only comes in a 76 yard ball and that cost $4. So it's a little bit more expensive to get these multicolored ones, but if you're wanting to just make one special little amigurumi and, you know, a variegated shade, then you could do that. But trying to make a blanket would be, you'd have to buy a lot. So I would say overall, I really like this yarn. Would I repurchase it? I could definitely see myself repurchasing this. I think it is absolutely perfect for amigurumi. That's probably what I would use it again for. Of course, it would be great for baby blankets, things like that. So this was a win for me, you guys. I'm really happy to say that we're now 2 for 3 when it comes to this yarn. So we do have one more to try. But first, I have to say that I realized as I was making this one that I accidentally made the eyes on this one too small, like one round too small. Just wasn't paying attention. So his eyes are a little bit tiny, but I still love my funky frog so much. But this one's giving it a run for its money, I will say. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the other yarn, the My Ami yarn, and we're gonna make another frog. Okay, here is my Ami frog. I do think that he is quite cute in the end, but I feel deeply, deeply meh about this yarn. I finished this and I'm like, well, that was an experience. That was a yarn that I used. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. I'm just kind of like, okay. That was done. I don't know how else to explain it. Now, this is a cotton acrylic blend. And I think this is like the second or third cotton acrylic blend that I've tried for amigurumi. And I just don't think it works for me when it comes to amigurumi. I do think the stitch definition is quite nice, but you can see that my stitches are a little bit inconsistent here and there. Like right there, you can see, because I was just having a hard time getting my tension right with this. Now, if you do like a cotton yarn, or even if you like an acrylic cotton yarn blend, this is an affordable one. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, but I just don't know if it's for me. I will say that. I just don't know if it's for me. Now, was this hard to work with? No, it was stiff, but it didn't split, it didn't snag, nothing like that. However, when I was sewing with it, I kind of showed that this strand wants to come apart into the separate pieces as you're sewing with it, which actually reminds me a lot of the Joanne amigurumi yarn that I tried in my Big Twist video. It actually kind of overall reminds me a lot of that one, but that one is a lot thinner, while as this one is a bit thicker. I think that one was like a size 2 and this is a size 3. something like that. But I like the stitch definition better on that one. So, you know, even though that one was thinner, I would probably pick that one over this one. But I don't really love either one, to be honest. Now, in the end, the texture of this, your finished product, does feel a lot more like cotton to me. And if you like that, then you might like this yarn. I always want to give my honest opinions on yarn, but I don't want to dissuade somebody who might like a different type of yarn from me from buying something. But anyway, I am going to, even though this is called my Ami, I want to try this in rows as well. This does say to use a 5mm crochet hook, which does seem a little bit big, but we are going to try it. I did, by the way, use this 3.25 for this guy. Now, I probably could have, like, if I had a size 3, I think that would have been perfect. I tried a, whatever it was, 2.75, and that was a little too small. This 3.25 is a little bit too big. I don't know. Not a big deal, but I am going to try doing some rows in this, and then I'll check in with you. Okay. Here is my little swatch. I started out with some single crochets, some half double, and then some double just for fun. I don't know. And again, it looks deeply fine. It was deeply fine to work with. It's not bad. I wish that I felt one way or the other. I wish I hated it or I liked it, but it's just okay. It's one of those yarns that will probably sit in my stash and I'll have to find something to do with it. If you have any ideas for how to use up this yarn, please let me know, because I don't know. I'm not sure how this would fit into my stash either, because this is a size 3 and a lot of my yarn that I have is a size 4 or above. And so I don't know what to do with it. Again, it's not bad. Not a bad yarn at all. Not a bad quality. It's just not for me. But this yarn is quite affordable. I think I already mentioned, but it is $4 per skein. Not a bad price. I think this comes in like 30 different colors. So that's nice as well. And if you know that you like a cotton acrylic blend, or if you know that you like cotton, I would say it's the most similar to cotton. If you know you like cotton for amigurumi, you might want to give this a try. That's not my personal journey, but I know a lot of people like the Hobie cotton. This is kind of similar to that to me. Again, I felt pretty neutral about that yarn as well. A lot of people, that's their go-to. So I wouldn't say don't pick this up, like the way that I felt about the velvet yarn, but it's just fine. It's just fine. So I will meet you in front of my yarn wall to talk about my final thoughts on Herrschners yarn. Herrschners yarn is really hard to say. But first, I want you to decide which frog is your favorite. If I had to pick a favorite, it would definitely be Mr. Funky Frog that I made in the Wildflower worsted yarn. I just think he has so much character, and even though I messed up on the pattern a little bit, he's still pretty cute. So today we had a complete miss, we had 2 hits, and then we had a meh. But I will say overall, my experience with Herrschners was a pretty good one. Their website is super easy to navigate. My order came really quickly. And I'm leaving this video with 2 yarns that I really enjoyed. I also like that I can order some of my tried and true favorite yarns alongside their in-house brand. And you guys will have to let me know if there are any other Herrschners brand yarns that you really like. Is there anything that I missed? Next week, I am going to be trying out a crochet kit from Herrschners, and it's going to be a first from me in that it is a garment kit instead of an amigurumi kit. So I'm really excited about that one. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And as always, if you've made it to this part of the video, you'll have to let me know what were you working on as you watch today's video. If you did like today's video, be sure to hit the like button. You can subscribe, stick around, let me know what other kind of videos you want to see next. You can join my Patreon where I make a bonus video as well as an exclusive pattern once a month. And thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.